What is up, guys? My name is Willie G. I'm going to be doing an update to my Witches deck profile that I did a long time ago. A couple new things came out, like just cards that you play in the main deck. Strides are now a thing, and I don't really feel like I explained a lot in the very first profile. I kind of just breezed through everything. So I'm going to give a little bit more detail as to why things are good, and I'm going to talk about what strengths my deck has. So my starter is going to be the same as before, Cinnamon. Its effect is pretty much Soul Charge 3 if it boosts a grade 3 and it hits a Vanguard. Easy as that. I prefer this to Mice or the other non-Witch starters because, one, it's a Witch, and two, I just think that it has more longevity. Like, it's kind of more like it forces more shields than Mice does, in my opinion. Whereas Mice, you want to put it in the Soul to get more early game push. Whereas this, you really just keep it there until it either gets replaced, bopped, or put into the Soul. Simple as that. For my first one, I play Fennel at 4 of still. Her effect is really good. During the turn that it legions, at the end of a battle that it attacked a Vanguard, you may Soul Blast 3. And if you do, you select 2 Witches from the top 5 cards of your deck and add them to your hand. Automatic +2 for legioning and attacking a Vanguard. So, really, really easy to get off her effect, and also, this is like what sets everything up. Then her other effect is when she's placed on Vanguard, you Counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 3. So her second effect sets up for her first effect. Very similar to how most Legions do now, or at least when they first came out. That's really what they focused on, is setting up the first effect with the second effect. And if Fennel's the setup, then Mint is the one that brings everybody home. When it attacks a Vanguard, if it's in Legion, you may Soul Blast 6, and it gets a whopping +10, and 2 dudes in your front row get +5. Really, really strong effect. So Mint swings for 30 without a booster, because it's in Legion, so it's 20 plus. Yeah. Then its other effect is Counterblast 1. It's not when it's placed on Vanguard, it's an act, so you can do it every turn. If you have a Witch in the middle column, then you Soul Charge 3, and that's personally why I like Cinnamon better. I'm not as apt to just Soul Charge it as early as I can to get more damage. But getting +20 to your board forces a lot of shields. The only problem with this card is that you will be destroying your deck to use its effect multiple times. So just be very wary of that. First of the mates, we got Jasmine. Effect is when it's placed on Rearguard, you Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 3, and it gets +3. So it sets up, but you also have to Counterblast to get the power too. Otherwise, it's just a 9. And the complement to Mint is going to be Chicory. And just if you have a Witch Vanguard, it swings +3. So the downside to Chicory is that you don't Soul Charge, whereas the upside of Jasmine is that you do. The downside of Jasmine is it doesn't get the power unless you Counterblast 1, whereas Chicory just does it. So that's the difference between those two. They still both have really good effects. Like, I know everyone is pretty much going to play 4 Chicory, because it's probably what people think is the better of the two. But I'll also go into a little bit more about like how you play the deck mechanically at the very end of the video. Then you have 3 Cardamom. This is a new card, and it replaces Raven entirely. It does Raven's job better. So when it's put into the drop zone from your soul, if you have a Witch Vanguard, you Counterblast 1 to call it to Rearguard, and it gets +2 until end of turn. That's amazing. So you have a free 11 instead of just a free 9. Now, another thing I should mention is that, say you have one already on the field, you attack with it, then you attack with your Vanguard, and you Soul Blast another one, and you Counterblast it. Well, you can Counterblast the one and call it to the same spot as a rested Rearguard. It doesn't have to be an open Rearguard circle. So that's why I really, really like this card. So you can get free additional attacks, and it does so much work after that. I played 3 Raven before, so that's why I kept the number the same, and I didn't want to sacrifice any of my mates. Then I got 4 Perfect Guards. I can't play the Grand Guard because it's not a Witch. Simple as that. My next one, I have 4 Witch of Frogs. I would always play this at 3 or 4. It has the same effect as Cardamom and Raven, except for it doesn't get a boost like Cardamom does. But always play like 3 or 4 of this if you're playing Genesis, unless for some reason your other Rearguards do a better job for your deck. So, this is just one of those staple cards for most Genesis decks. because every Genesis deck soul charges, and pretty much everybody likes 7k boosters. Next one is 3 Witch of Cumin, or Witch of Cat's Cumin, sorry. When it's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, then you get to soul charge one. So it's really good for your first turn, but it's also good for whenever you need a soul charge. I only like 3 right now because of the other card that came out, and I think 3 just really does it for me. You don't need 4 because you don't want to sacrifice frogs or your perfect guards or any of the other cards in your deck. So 3 is like the best filler number that you can have. Now, here's a new card for y'all. Witch of Melon's Time. When it's placed on Rearguard, if you have a Witch Vanguard, you look at the top 3 cards from your deck, search for a card from among them, you put it into the soul, and you put the other 2 in the drop zone. Holy crap, this effect is so good. So you soul charge, and you set up for Legion, and it's a 7k booster. So if it got its effect on Vanguard too, that would be so ridiculous. But that's the only downside to this card, outside of, oh, I'm destroying my deck on purpose. So it just pretty much helps you not have to overguard in order to be able to Legion. And, sometimes you can mill stuff that aren't triggers and your grade 3s. So that helps a lot. Being able to, specifically add certain witches, like Cardamom and Ravens, to your soul, that's why this card is so good. And before, I was playing something that really didn't help the deck as much. Oranges, it was less controlled. This is controlled chaos, whereas oranges is kind of just chaos. So for my triggers, I have 4 of the Battle Maiden one. Really good. I wouldn't replace this unless a better Witch trigger came out. Like, if the Witch trigger just had a really good effect, then this would be off the board, probably, if it's soul charged. So its effect is, you put it into the soul, you choose one of your dudes, it gets +3. So it soul charges, and it also boosts, and it's a 10k shield. All of these things are really good for the deck. Always play tons of crit if you're playing Genesis. Now, this is the other new card I wanted to talk about, Sharoma. Oh my goodness, I love this card. It has the exact same text as Time, except for before that, you put it on the top of your deck, you shuffle, then if you have a Witch Vanguard, you draw a card, and then you do Time's effect. But it's also a crit trigger, so being able to put crit triggers back into your deck, being able to soul charge and set up for Legion, it just made the deck so much faster to just make this. Like, you don't have to play Time, but I personally like to see both of them early as possible. Then we have 4 of the vanilla crit trigger because it's a witch, and then 4 of the heal trigger because it's a witch. I don't like stands in this deck because you always have to attack with your Vanguard first. Like, most times you're going to be attacking with your Vanguard first. And if you're not, then you're probably wasting the power that you could be giving your field. And not to mention, there's, no reason to play draw because you're already destroying your deck as is. So it's not recommended, trust me. I did it before, and it never worked for me. I would just deck out so fast. For my strides, I do play 1 Blizza. Blizza's really strong, especially early game. It can force shields early. It swings for 31 just because. So that's always going to be good. And it's only a counterblast 1, whereas you don't have to soul blast or anything. If you don't have enough soul, you can obviously go for a first turn Blizza. And then I play 2 Maydew. I absolutely love this card. I just recently picked another one up. When it's placed on Vanguard, if you have a heart card with 10k less power, then you choose a grade 3 and you put it back into your hand. So when you're in Legion, you have a 9k on Vanguard, so you meet the requirements. So say you want to be able to use Fennel next turn, but all you have is a snakes. Then you stride with the snakes, and you grab a Fennel from your drop zone. That's really good. And it also gives it plus power without having to soul blast and then having to recharge your soul. So, you have those kind of options. Now, Doombrace. Doombrace is my other homie. I absolutely love this card. I actually wish I was playing 3 right now. Once a turn, you can Soul Blast 3 to choose 2 dudes that get +5, and if the number of cards in your soul is 2 or less, then you Soul Charge 3. So sometimes you won't have 6 in your soul. You'll only have 4 or 5. Then you get to Soul Charge again for free, and you also give 2 things +5 for free. It's really strong. Like, Doombrace is just so cool. I know the guy in the anime uses it for G, and I see why exactly. It actually inspired me to play Doombrace in my Stride deck. My last card is going to be Goddess of Firmament. That's a word. Dione. I usually just call it Dio. You Soul Blast 3 when its attack hits a Vanguard. Then you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You add one to your hand, and you put the other 2 in your soul. So you only really Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. That's pretty much what it does. Pretty simple effect. I personally like the other ones more, but this one does apply a lot of pressure because it has to hit. Now, for Legion, things you want to put back. Always put back perfect cards. Always put back like a crit and a heal. And then you always want to put back your grade 3s and one of their mates, respectively. So you might be asking yourself, why would I want to do all that? Well, that seems like so much work. Well, you always want to have perfect guards to search them or be able to protect yourself. You always want to have triggers in your deck to pull triggers. You always want to have legions in your deck so that you can legion every single friggin' turn. And if you always put back one of your legion mates, then that's like guaranteed to legion every turn. So what I'll usually do is if I have any combination of these things in my drop zone, then when I do legion, it depends on what my hand looks like. If I have 2 perfect guards already, or like 1 or 2, then I won't put the perfect guard back this turn. But I will put back one of the mates, so it will always be there when I legion. So I will already have 1 card. Then say I don't think I have enough grade 3s in my deck. Alright, grade 3. And then I'm probably not going to put back the mate for the grade 3 because I'll put it back whenever I get to it. Alright, so that's off the board. So now it really just depends on what your other 2 things are that you want. If you think you're taking too much damage, you put back your heals. If you think you want to do more damage, then you put back your crits. And you can always put back these or these. You know, any you have like lots of options when you legion. Overall, you'll always want to go into Fennel about like 2 or 3 times, and then you'll want to start going into Snakes, because by then you'll have just so many cards that you can guard just about anything your opponent throws at you. So try not to rely too much on your perfect guards, even though you can abuse them with this deck. It's just something to be smart about, because there are decks that stop you. They have Glory Maelstrom effects, so sometimes you'll need to stack 10k shields, and there's so many times where I'll add heal triggers from the top of my deck to my hand with her effect, because I'll have less damage than my opponent, and I'm not going to miss a heal, and, you know, I'm theoretically still be able to pull crits if I put back crits and stuff, so. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. This has been my updated version of my Genesis deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Otherwise, this is Willie G, signing out.